And joining us now from Istanbul is Ali Mustafa, a presenter at TRT World. Ali, thanks for joining us again. Well, it has to be said, it is very unusual for a Secretary of State to visit a country and not meet with any representative of the government. How is this stop-in by Secretary Pompeo being received and reacted to in Turkey?
It's very strange for a U.S. Secretary of State to visit a country, except if that country happens to be Turkey. And let me tell you, Calev, I've been here 5.5 years. I can't remember a single time when the Americans or news of the Americans stepping in to help Turkey has come up in the past 5.5 years, except maybe on the YPG in Syria. That's an issue where Donald Trump did help Turkey by agreeing to, at least in principle, withdraw troops and support from the PKK YPG. But even that hasn't happened. To sort of say that Turkey has had expectations or that Turkey has benefited at all under Donald Trump would be a fallacy or a fantasy, because Turkey has been fighting fires as the U.S. has been receding from this region, be it in Syria. Your reporter Alderman there mentioned Libya, mentioned Azerbaijan, mentioned the Eastern Med. These are all areas of contention where historically the Americans have backed their NATO ally, Turkey. But now, in the absence of the Americans, especially, let's say, in Libya, you were talking about the Eastern Mediterranean. The Americans have, in fact, pulled back from this region during the Trump administration, despite introducing legislation like CATSA, for example, that goes after Turkey in the Eastern Mediterranean, which links a Turkish expansion in these areas, or in the vacuum that the Americans have left, with, for example, the F-35s. So Turkey has a story to tell. But sadly, the Americans haven't been willing to listen.
Well, how do you explain, Ali, or how is it looked at in Turkey that despite all that you just admittedly said, there are reports that President Trump and President Erdogan did develop a relationship, especially in the last couple of years, that they spoke frequently, and yet there seems to be a disconnect between that and the official side that you just described?
This is a big paradox, Calev, because on the one side, you have these reports that Trump has a good relationship or working relationship with Erdogan, but when it comes to seeing bricks and mortars, support on the ground, something tangible, it's nowhere to be found. And I don't have to go back far, but I've been in this country for about 5.5 years, and in the first year when I arrived, the Turks shot down a Russian fighter jet along the border with Syria, exactly 5 years ago this month. And what was the American response? The Americans didn't show up. So Turkey was found in a corner almost, where it had to negotiate with NATO's #1 enemy, the raison d'etre for NATO's existence, Russia, and find an accommodation in Syria. It happened again in Libya, where NATO allies, France, others, for example, Italy to an extent, but also Egypt, Israel, the UAE were backing a madman warlord in Libya, and the Turks had to step in to save the UN-backed government without American support. And then it happened in Azerbaijan, which is NATO's tail end, if you think. It's Russian territory, and NATO ally Turkey has had to step in support of Azerbaijan, which should be traditionally an American ally. So Turks have shown up, the Israelis have shown up, but the Americans are nowhere to be seen.
Right. Just very briefly, in 30 seconds, Joe Biden, does Ankara think there'll be any change for the better?
I believe Joe Biden will bring some sanity when it comes to relations, not just with Turkey, but all of this. It's been a roller coaster for the past 5 years. It's not over yet. It might be on January 20th, but the Turks, I'm sure, on the face of it, might be apprehensive, but in the long term, they'll be grateful.
All right. Ali Mustafa from TRT World in Istanbul, thank you for joining us again on The Rundown.